Hi, Radioheads. You know I'm L Man. I'm here with Shanti Hershenson, teenage author. And how many books has she written? She's written a bunch of books. How many books have you written? And how old are you? What?
I've written 19 books and I'm 14 years old.
Wait, 19?
Yeah.
That's the most because I've interviewed two other teenage authors. You got them beat. And you started, I did a little research. I think she started in I'm talking about you like you're not here. She started in sixth grade, right? Sixth grade
Yeah.
was your first book.
Yeah.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit how you put a book out in sixth grade? What?
So the first two, it's a really kind of complicated answer. The first two
That's cool.
books I wrote and published were these two novellas that I did with a friend. Technically, they're my first books. They're like
Hmm.
basically, I don't know, they're not very long.
How long
They're
are
like
they?
50 pages each. So
Okay, that's for sixth grade. That's still long. That's still pretty great.
yeah. But then the pandemic hit and I was
Mhm.
isolated. I was bored. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I'm gonna write like an actual novel. And so that's what I started doing. I actually started writing it, imagining it was gonna be only around 20,000 words.
Okay.
And after a few months, I could not stop writing. I just couldn't, I don't know, I just couldn't stop. And in about a few months, I had 250,000 words and 800 pages, which is way too long to publish. So I actually
Is
split the
it?
book into three books. And then I
Oh,
wrote a fourth one later on. That's not important. So I did split the book into three books, and I published the first novel, which is technically my debut novel, but it's weird. I had published some novellas and then a poetry collection beforehand, just to kind of fill in the gap and build a platform. It's complicated.
wait a
Um,
second. Wait a second. Your first book you published in the pandemic. So you did 19 books in the pandemic? No, no,
so
no. 17
I've published 11 books.
during the
I've written,
pandemic.
yeah, I've written 19. So yeah, all
And
the
a lot
books.
of people have just watched TV and eaten
Yeah.
cheese or something. Look at you.
Thanks. So
Wow.
yeah, I ended up publishing that first book. It's technically my first novel,
Okay.
but and then I just kept writing. I don't know the exact number of novels I've written compared to novellas,
Okay.
but I believe it's around, I'm not going to do the math, but the majority of the books I've written now are full-length novels. So,
Super impressive. I have a health guidebook, 145 pages. And it took me, I think I really didn't get started on that too much until I was 26, 27, and then 30 I buckled down. So yeah, this is a nice little fire under my butt to get me going because I got 200 pages to add. But I get like nervous because I'm such a perfectionist. So before I do anything, my tongue gets a little numb. I don't really have that too much because I'm kind of comfortable doing the interviews now, but there's a level of I'll keep putting it off and putting off. Do you ever find that happens? It doesn't seem like it.
there are some times when I find myself a little worried that, like, oh no, what if this isn't good enough? But I kind of
Mhm.
have to push through because I set goals. And if I spend like an hour procrastinating, I may not reach my goal. And
Mhm.
that's scarier than the book not being good enough.
I love
So, because,
that.
there's always editing. So,
Yeah. So how did you get so confident at such a young age? Wait, are you 16 now?
14 still.
Oh my God. Okay. You're 14 now. A
Yeah.
lot of 14-year-olds, I had my first kiss at 14. I haven't really kissed that many people since then. I'm 38. I don't plan to. I no. A lot of people want to kiss a lot of people, but I was 14. That was old at the time. I know some girl made fun of me, but she was mad that I was with her boyfriend. But anyway, I was not writing books at 14. And I was always somewhat confident, but I don't think I was confident enough to write. I stayed after school with one of my teachers in fifth grade, Mr. Kramer, and he believed in me and we were writing this book together. But then there was a teacher strike at Cantiac Jericho High School. But no, I did not have the confidence and belief in myself that I could write even maybe 50 pages by myself at 14. So how the F did you get so confident? And how do you know that you can do this?
So honestly, I have to say when I started, I wasn't at all confident. By Unlock, which is my first novel, I have to say when I started writing it, I vaguely remember asking my parents like, "Am I a good writer? I'm a good writer." They hadn't read the books, they didn't know,
Oh,
and I was just extremely nervous at first. But as I kept editing, honestly, I started to feel a lot better. But there was a lot of just insecurity, particularly at that time. It was 2020, and that
mm-hmm.
was when there was, I feel like, a kind of increase in teenagers writing books, and
Mm-hmm.
like I felt really insecure about my own writing. I was like, well, I'm not special. I'm not. And then I kind of kept writing. It was like, okay, maybe I am a little special. This is a lot of books. But each book I wrote, each round of editing I did, it got easier. And when it got easier, I started to feel more confident.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta say, I still have moments where I'm really insecure about my writing in my books, but then I have reviews now. I have people who've actually read my books.
Right.
But really it's just over time, I've just gotten confident about my writing, and I've gotten confident that I can write like a 400-page novel in like 2 months,
Love
because
it.
it gets easier every time.
Yeah. And that's, I talk a lot about confidence, or I'll get into, I've had clients that have, I had one client that came to me for nutrition years ago, because I have a health guidebook, and it was weight loss and moods. And then he came to me, he wanted me to help increase his confidence a couple of years ago. And I said, my specialty isn't really confidence, but I said, I'll figure it out. So I gave him all these techniques. And one of them was just to do things. And there's a lot of spiritual mumbo jumbo people that say you should pray, or just if you believe it, you can be it. And sure, you have to have that belief in your head at first. But the way to get confidence, I always say, is to be a winner, to win. It's like once you have a win, you have one book that is good or decent, you go, oh, that actually is proof in your hands. Holy crap, I'm really good. And then you do it again and you do it again. So there's proof. But to just tell yourself, I'm a good writer, I'm a good writer. It's like, how do you know you're a good writer until you do it? So you're proof in the pudding. And the more you do, I'm sure the more confident you'll get, hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Now I want to talk about one book in specifically. So you have The Accidental Insurgent. And the first line in the description is, one mistake can ruin your life. So what are some mistakes you've seen people make, or yourself, that you think has ruined their lives?
Different perspectives I can go for that.
Yeah, whatever.
There's a social media aspect that celebrities very often will say something and get canceled. Or, I mean, what I find interesting is, I think the butterfly effect is really interesting. So something may not be a mistake, but like you could make a decision and then your life could be completely different than what it could have been had you chosen a different option. That always interests me, because it's not even a mistake. Just I chose to move cities for school and it didn't turn out well, but then I have my book. So it's not technically a mistake. But honestly, it maybe could have been a mistake had I stayed in Los Angeles and just stayed in private school, because then maybe I wouldn't have written my books.
Where did you move to?
San Diego.
And what's the difference? Like, how do you feel different? What things are different in your life because of the move?
I prefer San Diego, definitely, because it's a lot. Southern California is an absolute oven right now. And San Diego is very hot, but it's not as hot as Los Angeles. So there's that. And I mean, we're like a few miles from the beach, so that's very nice. Yeah, and LA is very crowded, and often it's a bit of a larger city. I don't know. I live in North County, so it's a little.
You mentioned cancel culture. What are your thoughts on cancel culture? Do you think that some of these people, let's say a celebrity, let's say me, I got like 5 to 7 films coming out in 2023. I say all types of crazy stuff. Probably one podcast alone, someone could find something I say and they can cancel me. Do you think that people are going to be canceled forever? Do you think it's going to stick? Do you think that cancel culture is going to end? Do you think it's going to get worse? What do you think?
So I think with cancel culture, it really depends on what someone did.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because I do think there are people out there, like celebrities out there, that have done a lot wrong and don't really deserve to be famous.
Like Ezra Miller?
Yeah, just
she knows.
But if you it's hard to take something that someone did 10 years ago. I mean, if it was something really bad, like 100%, but it really does depend on what someone does. Because I think now in 2022, there's more of an accountability towards people who misuse their platform. Totally. But also there are people that take it too far. So for example, I'm just thinking of one situation, just a thing, if someone does something wrong, but it's not actually harming anyone else, but it's just something that they shouldn't have done, or they mismarketed their book, educate them, but don't hate on them and don't try to ruin their career. That's my opinion. Always. Yeah. You kind of always have to just, I don't know, don't go out of your way to hurt someone else if what they did, while it was wrong, didn't hurt anyone.
Right.
I mean, what if they committed tax fraud? But I don't think that's actually cancelable. I don't know. I have really.
He says that tax fraud. So Wesley Snipes in the movie Blade, he had some tax issues. Did you ever see the movie Blade?
Don't think so.
I would like you to see that, because I'm 38, just turned 38. You're a lot younger than me. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Now, he got in trouble for some tax evasion, and he's one of my favorite superheroes of all time. So maybe at a later date, we'll see what your thoughts are on the movie Blade. Good little detour on that one. And maybe you'll get some inspiration for writing because
Yeah.
it kind of is an epic movie about vampires. Vampires, half vampire, half human, and he's kind of killing the bad vampires. He's a hybrid. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Little aside. Okay, we're gonna skip to another book you have. It's about using poetry to dispel or deal with anger. So, how does writing help you specifically to deal with uncomfortable emotions, anger, sadness, loneliness, depression? Who knows? Anything.
So for me, writing has always been a bit of an outlet. I've always used it when I felt sad to try to work through my problems. I remember in fourth grade, and I wish I still had it. I got bullied in fourth grade, and as a response, I wrote this little book.
Okay.
It was very, because I was like completely hurting, but the year was coming to a close and I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I mean, you could try to, write. And I did, and I felt embarrassed of it. And I'm pretty sure I threw it behind my sister's dresser, and I don't know if we have it still.
I hope you find it.
Yeah, but then flash forward to sixth grade, I got bullied really, really badly, and I wrote a book and published it, and here we are now. So,
well, I know it might be a sore subject, but if you're comfortable talking about it, why do these people bully you? And can you send them to me? Because I would love to talk to these people. I would. No, I'm not joking. I'm serious. I would love to know who they are, and I'm not going to do anything mean. But I just want to know who they are and put them on my S list, So I'm serious. This isn't a joke. And what did they do to you?
Well, whenever I think of I really think of fourth grade, but wasn't nearly as bad as sixth grade. Just kids bullied me because I was the weird girl who was into quote unquote boy things, and I liked Beyblades, and I was the only girl that liked Beyblades in the grade, and kids were pretty mean to me over that. It's a kids game, but it's very heavily marketed. It's like a TV show too, and it's heavily marketed towards boys.
That's cool. I played with all the boys in recess. Yep. I played sports. That was not a problem at my age. I don't know how is that a problem?
I don't know. It was I didn't the girls in our grade didn't really have too much of a connection with me because I liked more boy things, and I had maybe in fourth grade, I had all my best friends were boys, and some of them were also very mean to me.
Maybe so that was jealous, the girls?
Probably, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. But then sixth grade was just straight up abuse. I don't even know if that's really even bullying anymore. It was just bad. Wow. There wasn't even a reason behind it. It was just completely ridiculous.
Well, I've actually been lucky. I've never been bullied. And they say if you've never been bullied, maybe you're the bully. I do recall not being nice to one girl. It wasn't mean, but I could have been nicer. It definitely wasn't bullying. But I will tell you this, I believe in karma. There's, a lot of woo-woo thoughts on spirituality and stuff. But I have to say, I read a book called The Power of Karma about 2007. My mom made me read it. I didn't believe in anything spiritual, nothing. Now, that's one of the things I strongly believe. And I'm not going to say his name, but there was one guy, and he was an Adonis. I was out clubbing. I used to go clubbing in my 20s. And this guy was so good looking. All the girls liked him. He knew he was good looking. He looked fantastic. And this girl next to me she just looks up. She goes, "You're an Adonis." And he knew it. And he actually treated people like garbage. I remember he made fun of R-worded people on Facebook. And it's why are you doing this? To the point where I was I hope you have an R-worded kid so you can experience. And even to me, it was kind of mean. It's I never really had anyone be kind of mean like this to me. And most part, people at 26, 27, I really just hadn't dealt with it. I've been lucky. I have had other issues in life, don't worry. But anyway, I think these people, back to you, I think they're going to get theirs. I like to see people get what they deserve. I don't like to see people suffer, but for the good, I love to see people you're working so hard. I hope great things happen with you. Thanks. People that are sweet to other people, I just hope they get what they want. But when it comes to people who are go out of their way to be mean, I don't know. In my experience, I haven't seen it work out too well. And I did have someone threaten me, and I found out, and I said I wanted to retaliate, but I found out years later, he ended up in the hospital. He was either shot or stabbed. And it was just he was so crazy with me and my family. I thought about retaliating. I said, no, you're better than that. Don't do that. I said, someone's going to take care of them. So someone's going to take care of these people. Now let's go back to your books. Now, any advice for aspiring writers who want to get published? And how do you get published? Like, I mean, there's lots of ways, but what are your recommendations?
So I think the publishing journey really varies for each person. For me, I self-publish with two platforms, Kindle Direct Publishing and Ingram Spark.
Okay.
What I think for teenagers, and especially because it can be hard if you want to publish as a teenager, which can be good for college applications and just in general, it's a really great experience.
Yeah.
I'd recommend self-publishing first, doing
Mm-hmm.
interviews, just keep on writing, maybe release a few books, just self-publish them, and then just build a platform, post on social media. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
when you're a little older, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to query for an agent unless I'm already successful enough that I don't have to, because there's a chance with every book I release, because my platform literally increases every book I increase,
Right.
I do better each time, that I may not need to traditionally publish in a few years and I'll be fine as a self-published author.
Yeah.
So then also when I'm going to college, I won't need to have like a part-time job or anything, because I might be
Nice.
okay. And I mean, either way, I'll either be traditionally published by the time I go to college, or I'll be successful self-publishing. So
Right.
it really does sort of depend on how things go.
Right.
But I just think if you want to publish young, try self-publishing and building a platform. And if you want to query for an agent, honestly, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing. Like, how I publish might not work for someone else, and my strategy might not work for someone else. It really just
Yeah,
depends on what works for you.
definitely.
Honestly, my biggest tip as for writing is just write the same amount every day, and just pick an
Okay.
amount and stick to it. For me, I do 1,000 words a day, but
Wow.
then over the summer, I often will do more. And that helps you improve. Like, with each day you write, you're going to do better. And it's just honestly the best advice I can give.
Yeah, you're very well spoken. I mean,
Thank you.
I know 20, 30, 40, 50-year-olds and they can't speak how you do. I mean, I'm
Thank
even
you.
bumbling over my words. I'm very tired though.
No,
Okay. Now speaking of writer's block and being in the flow, because you're very free flowing speaking, even more than me. I'm older than, maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe that's what it is. I'm decaying before your eyes, and that's why I'm getting tongue tied. Maybe that's what's going on. But my question is, because I have a health guidebook and it's for focus and cognitive function and being your best, thinking, looking your best. Do you have any behaviors or foods, anything you do that you find that leads to writer's block? And do you have any that leads to a flowiness? Oh, and I figured it out. I had popcorn last night. Anytime I have popcorn, I get tongue tied the next day. I shouldn't have done it.
Interesting.
Yes, popcorn can
I
mess up
think
your.
I'm not quite sure about foods. I do think that caffeine is good for not, I don't
Okay.
know, not necessarily, but honestly, just in terms of behaviors, of course, having a kind of no routine to your day, and having no routine just in general, you'll have more trouble writing, because I feel like if you just you have a time where you write each day, it's a lot better. I've kind of actually fallen out of that habit. I have to get back to that. But like in the middle of the pandemic, I would wake up and at 11, I would start writing, and I wouldn't stop until I was done for the day.
Right.
Um, but honestly, just building that routine is especially helpful. I find that exhaustion, especially after, like, if I have a long, hard school day, which I haven't had since middle school, but
Mhm.
if you have a very kind of difficult school day, then I do find that people often will have trouble writing. At least I have.
Yeah.
Um, in 8th grade, like, I had a pretty hard year just all throughout middle school. I'm in 9th grade now, and I'm doing great.
Nice.
But in
Yeah.
middle school, it was pretty difficult, and sometimes I would find myself just not wanting to write, and I would still write, but it would take longer, and I'd lay on my bed just contemplating my day first before I
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
got to writing.
Think I contemplate my day too much. I love how, see, you can get advice from people of all ages, and you're very inspiring right now. I do a lot of contemplation, and I've gotten away from the routine. And I find that a lot of people who aren't successful, or they're just not maxing out their potential, the lack of routine seems to be a problem. So this is a really good reminder to keep some routine. It doesn't have to be 11 every day, but maybe it's between 11 and 1. Give yourself a range where there's some semblance of a routine. I do think that there's a correlation between the routine and success and productivity. So my
Yeah.
next question, we're almost at the close. We might have two. Let's see. Now, writing can be very isolating. It's not usually a team sport. I mean, I guess you could have someone hold your hand or rub your feet or give you a back massage while you're writing. I would love that. I'd write a lot more. How do you balance the isolation in writing with connection, because it's so important to have a human connection to also keep that spark in your brain to keep you mentally okay.
It's surprising to a lot of people, but I really do, like, I think an important thing is like I have friends that I talk to online and
Mhm.
we hang out a lot in person, and that's especially helpful.
Mhm.
It's also, especially for teen authors, I know a lot of teen authors, even myself, like I spend a lot of time in my room writing all day, but it's also important to, have dinner with your family,
Yeah.
talk to your family, like hang out with them and connect with your family. If you have a family that's easy to connect with, which I thankfully do.
Thank God.
I think,
I was thinking that. I was like, I bet her family is very supportive because
yeah, they are.
you seem very mentally happy and chill.
Hey,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a brother or sister is like tormenting you.
no.
Thank God.
But yeah, I just really think like, connect with the people around you,
Mm-hmm.
like as an adult, I'm like probably at some point I'm going to have kids and I'm going to have to spend time with them. Like I'm not going to be the writer that's in my room all day, or I'm not going to go to a
Or
hotel
not.
to write. And wait, I don't remember the
Hire a
plot of The
nanny.
Shining. Never mind. I don't remember the plot of The
Uh-huh.
Shining. But yeah, no, I'm not going to write 200 pages of all work and no play make Shanti a dull girl and then try to form a
Right.
family. Don't worry.
Ah,
But anyways,
I
so
hope not.
did you see that movie?
Oh yeah, actually
Yeah, yeah.
recently I was
I
rewatching it.
my
Mm-hmm.
parents maybe my sister and my parents maybe watch it in the middle of the pandemic, like right when I was writing my first book.
Oh wow.
Scary. I have to watch all the writing horror movies, of course. My family torments me with them. It's funny. But yeah, like, when I'm older, I'm probably gonna have kids, I'm gonna have a husband. It's like connection's important. Like,
Mm-hmm.
going out as a family is going to be important, and I'm going to make that time. Um, and it shouldn't be too hard. Really, what I do, if I can just do it quick enough, is like an hour of writing each day. That's
Okay.
how long it takes to do 1,000 words if you just,
So
really
if you
try.
work for an hour a day, by that time you're gonna have like 40 books out if you keep going at this rate.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess you could just retire, or you
Yeah.
could work for an hour or two a day and then spend time doing whatever with your family, right?
Yeah. I mean, once my kids are at school and if my husband goes to work, like I could write 6 hours a day, could release
Yeah.
a lot more books. And that's possibly what's going to happen.
So
Either that or
cool.
I write for an hour a day and just chill and like have fun.
I love it. My last question in the book Never Dying that you wrote, I'm not going to quote other authors. That would be funny if I did though. I was like, hey, R.L. Stein. Now it says, if you could live forever, would it be a gift or a disease? I would say it's a disease. As my vampire character says, I keep getting smarter while you keep getting dumber. And that's what happens if you live forever as a vampire. So would you want to live forever? It's gift or disease?
I don't know. If I was the only one living forever, that'd be fun. Actually,
Okay.
that reminded me, there's a TikTok trend and it's, have you seen the snail trend?
No.
I don't know why. Every time I think of never dying, every time I bring up never dying, everyone always mentions it. So would you live forever in the like under one condition? And the
Right.
condition is that there is a snail and it's also immortal and it can't be killed, but at all times it's slowly inching towards you. And if it touches you, you're gonna die like really
Huh.
painfully. But it's a snail, so you can easily run away, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Wow, I've never
And
heard of this.
it was on a Would You Rather from like
Right.
2013.
Very
And
interesting.
yeah.
Never thought about this one. I think about some crazy things. So we're at the end of the interview. You're very interesting, super
Thank you.
inspiring. I mean, I have two of my most interesting interviews today. So thank you and Ben Johnson. Final thoughts for society. It came from the radio, one, and two, close us out with where can we find you, website, socials.
Okay. So first, this is, I think, a really good starting place. You can find me at my website, which is shantihershenson.com. That's ShantiHershenson.com. You can also find me on Instagram, which is just at Shanti Hershenson. Twitter is at Shanti Hirsch. And then TikTok, where I post writing tips, just things about my books and my story in general, is at Shanti Who Writes. That one I recommend going to just to get to know me more and find some tips. Even if you want to ask me a question, you can just DM me on TikTok or comment on one of my videos or DM me on Instagram, but sometimes my DMs get very full. So
Yeah. I mean, I can't get back to them. And any final thoughts, any random thoughts, something you want to share?
I don't know.
To be continued then. So thank you so much. And now, Mark, back to more. It came from the radio.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And let's see, we'll get the recording.